Alrighty, greetings everybody. I hope you're doing well. I'm actually filming this the day after because I just wasn't feeling it yesterday. I'm obviously talking about the Tuesday Swiss tournament monthly. I've played it every single Tuesday. I have not missed a single one since last year. I started playing in July. It is now May. So after I complete May and then next month, I'll have 1 year straight of every single Tuesday at the chess club, which is pretty good. I'm going to let you all in on a little confession, though. Yesterday was the first time on a Tuesday, I wasn't really excited to play chess. For whatever reason, maybe I was tired, maybe it was because it was warm out, maybe because I hadn't been playing that well. I don't know, but I decided that that I would go anyway. Maybe I got kind of excited, but I really wasn't looking forward to my game. All right, just kind of telling you my mindset. Moreover, actually, some good news is I've been raving about Slay the Spire 2, and I've beaten everything with the game. It's a challenging deck building game, very very fun. Give it a strong recommendation. But unfortunately, obviously I've not been studying chess over the last 2 or 3 weeks where I've been playing that game, but I beat everything. So maybe like next week I'll get back into the mindset of chess. Entering this month, I had a decision. My rating is finally finished over 1700 for a month. It actually finished at 1701, although that wasn't reflected on the Boylston sheets, which was kind of annoying. But I enter where I'm right on the threshold. They don't they're not adamant about keeping people. It's supposed to be if you're not within 200 points of the gap, you can't play up. Technically, I shouldn't have been able to play up, but last time when I had a decision if I should play the open or the mid section, the U1900s, I went to the U1900s. So I thought this month I should probably mix it up and give myself a challenge and play up. So I'm in the top section, the open, and we're going to give it a go. We're going to see how it goes. And at first, when I arrived at the chess club, I played a game against Zane. Zane was actually beating me in Blitz, but thankfully they posted the pairing. So Zane's such a nice guy. He's like, hey, you want to just make a draw? It's not like we're playing for anything. I said you can have the win. You were playing better than me. But anyway. Originally, I was supposed to be, when the pairings came up, White against Camden, who's like 1900, and I was happy, because Cam, we're friendly-ish, because he actually lives, I think, right on Central, so we've ridden the T back together a few times. Obviously, he's 1900, he's probably like a tiny bit better than me, but I think that's a very winnable game, and I was very excited for that. Then they mixed up the pairings, they mashed it, they always mix things around, and I got Black again. This is like my 5th game in a row or something as Black. I ended last month with 2 blacks, and both Thursday club nights I got Black, and then tonight I got Black, which is fine. I think I actually played Black just as well as White, but it's a little bit annoying. You just want it to be 50-50, and on my career stats, I have more Black games than White. In any event, I matched up against Blokhin. Ilya has been playing the chess club the whole time I've been there. I looked at his stats recently. He plays exactly 1 game a week. He's a doctor. He always comes in wearing his scrubs or whatnot. He's a Russian guy. Doesn't say a lot, but we've exchanged a few pleasantries. He seems nice enough. But I've never played him before because he's always in the open section. I looked at his rating. I think he's around my age. He might be slightly older than me. If you ask me, I think he looks quite a bit older than me. Because I look so... No, but I'm not really. I think he's about the same age as me. And he's been playing what looks like USCF for, as long as they have stats, for 10 full years. And this guy very consistently plays 1 game a week. His rating has basically been between 1900 and 2000 for 10 years. He peaked just over 2000. And he's basically never fallen below 1890 or whatever, 1880. He's very consistent. So clearly, when I matched against him, Ilya is a good challenge because he is a guy who 2000 plus is master level. He's clearly not a master player, but he is what would be considered an expert, and that's a very good player. Just to be very clear. In fact, entering today, I believe his rating was 1931. As you see, I will input it in here. Nonetheless, I'm always trying to play my best. I did last night. I was maybe going to do the video, but it's been so hot, and I haven't put my ACs in yet, and I'm doing it today. Anyway, I did analyze the game with my friend Randy, because I kind of go over them with Randy. It's very nice to go, although Randy needs a better mic, I'm going to be honest. But he I've analyzed it with him. So I actually unfortunately know the computer analysis of a few spots. So that might dilute or change my evaluations going forward. What am I trying to say? Oh, and Randy is very good. Randy has not played classical in a long time. I keep trying to convince him to play, but he lives in like LA where he's actually not close to a chess club. So maybe at some point he'll play. But Randy is a master level player. When he stopped playing chess, he was like 2150 or so, or 2100, and he probably hasn't gotten any worse since then. Although he probably hasn't gotten any better. So he's right on the cusp of like near NM strength. My other really good friend who watches all the videos, Ryan, is very, very similar. They're both very, very good players. Both could potentially be NMs, but who knows if they committed to it. And actually they have very similar online ratings, which is kind of funny. So I'll actually play more chess with Randy, Blitz or whatnot, and he's 300 points higher than me, which is kind of fun because then I'll suggest some moves, and someone's like, "Oh, I didn't see that." And other times it's like, "Yeah, that's a horrible one." And that's kind of like the way chess is, right? Whenever you play with somebody a little bit better, you will find moves that are better than theirs, but more often they'll find moves that are better than yours. That's why they're better than you. All right. All that said, that's sort of the meta-analysis. That's my mindset. I think the preamble, entering this tournament, like last time I played the Open, my goal is to go at least 1 point out of 4. Because Ilya is about 250 points higher than me. Again, I'm entering the tournament 1701, although at the tournament it said I was 1670. He was like 1931 or 1934, something like that. The point is, that's a pretty big gap, 250 points. Losing is not that punishing. And even if I draw, it's actually pretty good. So I went in, obviously I'm going to try to win all my games, but we'll see what happens. And unfortunately, Ilya busts out knight f3 on move 1. And already I was upset, because number one, when they were announced before they got changed 5 minutes later, I was going to be white. So I was excited to maybe play, some of my own prep. And then instead, we get, the ready. I have not studied this at all. This has been played over the board classically against me just once, and that was Joe Ray many months ago, where I did not play the opening well when I analyzed it, but then I played the middle game better, and then he had a nice tactic to basically get back to parity, and then we made a draw. By the way, I haven't seen Joe Ray in the chess club in a while. I hope he's doing all right. And I've only briefly started looking at this on Lee Chess. Like I think I mentioned, I haven't really been studying chess the last 3 weeks, I'd say. But I've done a very good job with my opening analysis. Like, I'm very covered against e4 and d4. I started preparing more for c4 mostly because of Ben. But knight f3. This is one of the big 4 openings. So you basically have to have a defense against this. The truth is, the higher you go, the more often you see it. But even at the highest level, you only see knight f3 like 1 in 8, 1 in 7. And at my level for Blitz, which is obviously below that level, I encounter this at most 1 in 10. And because although I play a lot of bullet games online, I'm still only playing against this like maybe once a day, just to give you an idea. So needless to say, I know that my prep is going for what's known as the kingside fianchetto, but there's like 4 main follow-ups. And this is why knight f3 is so sneaky, because they can transpose a lot of ways. They can play e4, they can play d4, they can play c4, they can also play knight c3. There's like a lot of main moves here. And they can even play g3. And sneaky Ilya immediately busts out. And I'll mention when he uses some time. He busts out d4. Now, this turns into, as you can tell, and I do know this, the modern defense with 1 d4. And the problem is, number 1, I don't play the modern. Number 2, the modern requires you to know a lot. Number 3, I don't play the modern against anything else, so it's only this specific line. And number 4, there's other transpositions that we'll get that I just don't play. So needless to say, it's kind of annoying where for me to play well against, or for me to have a good result against a guy who's 250 points higher than me, I mean, certainly I think I don't think there's any of the chess club that I wouldn't be able to beat. I think that in this month, there's one guy that's like 2,100 in the open section. And okay, that's actually a pretty big disparity. That's more than 400 points-ish. Maybe I can't beat somebody like that. But the point is, but if I'm playing someone like Ilya, I think, things have to go right for me. And already this was going wrong for me. I actually think he spells his name like this. I think this is accurate. Anyway, Russian guy. I looked at his annotations. Craziest handwriting I've ever seen. He must have been writing the annotations in Russian or something, because I didn't understand them at all. Nonetheless, when he does this, what I know is I go knight f6. The idea is basically I'm just gonna get some kind of some like the Indian game with like a pawn on d6, possibly fianchetto, castle, and just go from there. And what happens is Ilya busts his moves out, and it actually immediately resembles a Catalan. And by the way, my prep I did go d6, but I should have probably played. I mean, they're all the same. Bishop, here to fianchetto. Then if he does the same, we basically go. We're now in a situation where this is potentially Catalan, and if I bust, I think this is a Grunfeld. This is kind of a Grunfeld structure. Now again, you have to know a lot of theory here. I don't know any of it. I don't play this. I don't play d4, d5. I don't know this. Obviously, I know this from the white position because I'd gotten this as white a fair amount. So that's what I was trying to that's what I was leaning on as hard as I could. Nonetheless, I play d6. He does go g3. And we're going to get the structure where, I know what's happening, and there's nothing I can do to stop it. So I castle, he castles. And again, I play these moves quickly because, I know... Okay, so here, this is the first time I spent a couple minutes thinking, because wondering if I should have played d5 and have gotten, again, like a Grunfeld. According to chess.com, this is the Yugoslav Pano system. Again, I don't play this. It's just the KID, King's Indian Defense. I've played against this a million times. I know at least the ideas for white. They're trying to get the knight to e5. I didn't necessarily want to give up that square. They're playing this long diagonal. I want to maybe make it concrete. They sometimes have trouble developing their dark square bishop. Naroditsky idea, and this is one thing I do, and I think I do it well, is you want the bishop to f5 because most of the time the queen wants to get to c2. I know when I'm white, I want to get my queen to c2, and it's annoying when they play that move. So I know there's a few little things like that. And I think I actually do play the best move here. I do. c5 and c6 and bishop f5, which, again, is what I will play in a moment, are all book. And I spent 2 minutes just thinking about it, and I actually play c6. The idea here is I'm just building the wall. I'm looking to play d5 and trying to nullify the light square bishop. I did calculate c5, knowing that this is probably fine, but this is probably more dynamic. Basically it probably is takes, I think. I'm not sure. And I thought this was fine, because then my bishop opens up. But I wasn't really ready for his bishop to open up yet. I guess I can play this kind of position. I don't know. I thought that this was all fine for me. I wasn't sure. It looks like this is so far so good. And I know that so far so good. I'm not that worried. Ilya is still playing very quickly. He makes a natural developing move. Now I play bishop f5, which is, I think, one of the best. I think it is the best move. I'm zeroing in on the B file. So, a lot of times, if things on the left-hand side of the board are kind of, at parity or whatever, they're looking to attack on the queen side. So as black, I wanted to make it challenging for them, that kind of thing. He now plays b3, which is actually an inaccurate move. I'm not really sure what the punishment is on this. It's booked still. It's just d5. Yeah, okay, cool. d5 is an idea. Knight e4. Knight e4. Yeah, and that's actually one thing I was considering. So they want knight e4 or even knight a6. I knew that I was going to have a problem developing this this knight. Wasn't sure where to go with it. And actually what's interesting is the computer... and this is actually the first time I made a think. I spent... we got down to an hour 22. Because I knew up to this point all my moves were fine. I didn't know if they were the most accurate. It looks like they are. They're in good shape. But... I knew that he's obviously a solid position. Apparently this is fine because obviously the idea is just to get to the double op combo on the fianchetto squares, just kind of utilize them like an X arc. And okay, the computer wants me to play knight e4, and I actually considered that. I make a quiet move that I think is always good, rook e8, because I know in a lot of positions you are trying to compete for the e file, possibly with the e pawn break. I thought that move never hurt me. In this position, I looked at knight bd7, but I thought that actually things got a little bit clunky because right now, I didn't want to get this piece trapped. There's some lines where I get stuffed. I no longer have the retreat square, so I didn't think that was good. I know I want to play d5 at some point, at least I think I do, but I wasn't sure I wanted to relinquish the e5 square. What else was I thinking? I didn't know where my knight was going to go from a6. Apparently that's a good natural developing move, but I didn't know where to move it from that point. So when I looked at this position, again, I know that their idea is they want to play knight e5, because that's what I want to do. You're playing off this tactic, basically attacking the c6 square. But I also know that I need space, and I need to kind of fight for the board and push d5 when possible. I did look at knight e4 here, with the idea of trade, and just, again, try to get the light square bishops off. His light square bishop is better than mine. But what was I afraid of in this position? I thought if he didn't trade, trading would be fine for me. Okay, right. If he just plays like bishop b2, for example, very, very natural. Okay, and then the computer says, bro, you can just trade it off, and this is like a normal chess position. Just trade, and we just go from here. I'm trying to leverage this diagonal. He's trying to leverage this diagonal. Anyway, the point is, we are getting ourselves into a long positional game. I have not been playing positional chess lately. I'm really trying to be all about the tactics. And when Randy went over the game with me real quick, he's like, oh, I know the type. This guy's a grinder. So, Ilya is a grinder. He's like, he's going to look to just get like a pawn up and just, win like a 4-on-3 endgame. And spoiler alert, for those of you who wonder what the outcome was of this game, that's exactly what's going to happen in this game. So let me just show you my calculations and the actual game, and I'll probably go through this one a little bit faster. He now plays bishop b2, which is pretty normal. I spent another 5 minutes, again, thinking about knight e4, thinking about knight bd7, thinking about knight a6, and then I finally played d5. My idea, I thought that if I played knight e5, his best line was to play knight e5, which is, by the way, exactly what happens. And my first thought is that I'd play knight bd7 and be able to trade it off, okay? And this is where I do another 6-minute think. By the way, what I'm about to play is just going to be a bad move, and it looks like my instinct, knight bd7, is good. Or at least it's fine. Computer likes h5 best, which I'm going to be honest, that move didn't go through my mind. Knight e4 makes some sense too. The idea, again, is just try to trade everything off. Just try to, bungle it down. And this is, a very typical position where white is, plus 0.6 or so. It's the opening move advantage from white. He has not done anything wrong. He's been super solid, and I'm just responding to it. And it's just like a normal game of chess. A slow game of chess, that's for sure. I wasn't considering knight a6 here, although maybe I should have. I still didn't really know where I was going to go. And at first, my first instinct was this move, knight bd7. Okay, and I'm going to show you what I played instead, and I'm going to show you why I played it. But real quick, I didn't like knight bd7 because I thought here I might have some trouble against an e4 idea. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, maybe not. Oh, actually... I was wondering if I should take first. That was the other thing I was thinking first. If I should take, then play out wide, or take, and then play here. Playing here immediately, I wondered if takes, if this was good for me or if this was bad for me. I thought, again, doot. I wasn't so sure I liked this position. But then I thought I'd go something like here, takes. Honestly, I just didn't know. It was one of these things where I was calculating a million things, but obviously I ended up being inaccurate. And I played knight g4 because first off, I thought if he takes, I take his knight. He takes with the pawn, I take back, and I have pressure on the file. Even if he takes back, I go back with my knight. All my pieces are developed, and I'm actually very active. I thought that was good for me. Okay, so I thought going out wide, he can't go pawn takes, which is why I didn't go pawn takes myself. I then thought, can he ignore and just play something like f4? And I thought, well, then I can just take as well, trade off the knight e5 knight, which is very strong, and then after takes, I might have an f6 break. And I thought that was pretty reasonable too. Unfortunately, my calculations were not deep enough because I thought that also the main move, which is what he plays, knight out wide, takes, bishop takes. Now my bishop is angling on this diagonal, okay? And I thought that this was very important because I thought, and again, you're going to see why I'm going to get punished. This is I end up giving up a pawn. I didn't mean to. Because then after takes, I thought I had this wide move where my bishop and my queen are attacking this piece, and then after he either moves it or defends it, I could then reroute my queen and basically attack e2, all right? Basically, with the bishop hitting both pieces, winning back the pawn, and having basically having a good position. I'll show you what I mean in a moment. Fortunately, I missed something very important. So he takes, I take. This is normal. He takes, And again, unfortunately, at this point, after I made these calculations, I made my next, 6 moves in, 5 minutes, because I thought I had calculated this line correctly. Okay? So you can see what's happening here. Whatever, he won the pawn. If he takes, I can just develop, and, I'm hitting everything in the middle. I'm going to be able to throw my rook in. I thought that was beautiful. As you guys can tell, I'm hitting this this pawn. I'm like, yeah, this is beautiful. Everything is good. And unfortunately, I missed, and I missed a very important move. So if you can tell from this position, the reason why I like this and what I calculated with my bishop out wide is e3 is impossible. And I know as white in the Catalan, you play e3 a lot to support the d4 pawn. But obviously, it's pinned right now. So that's the beauty here. So I thought that the only way for him to defend this pawn is to move the knight. And of course, when they move the knight, that's when I can move the queen. And then you can see I'm then hitting this piece. Unfortunately, and it's such an obvious move, it's not hard, I didn't see this, is that he has h3. This is what he played. And the problem is, because I played g6, I can't run to h5, continuing to put pressure on this pawn, because if I play h5, he plays g4, and then I lose the piece. And as soon as he plays h3, I had to think for 5 minutes, because I realized that I fucked up. And as soon as we reach this position, I'm just worse. Just so you guys can tell the line that I calculated, I thought that he'd have to attack me here. So you guys can see, attacking this twice, he's defending it twice, can't move the pawn, and then when I'm able to, let's just say shift over, whatever, here, he still can't defend, I'm bearing down. Let's say, if he plays a move like f3, I was happy with this. I thought his pawns were in really weak shape. Obviously, then I move back. But even if I move back here, I now have a lot of pressure going this way, and if he ever kind of takes, whatnot, I thought that this position was good for me, or at least this is what I was looking to play. Okay, and it looks like this is a +1 position, so this would not have been good for me, but I thought that this was fine. I thought worst case, is he goes pawn takes, I go bishop takes, and then I'm the one with the pressure on him. I don't know, I'm surprised this is +1, because when I thought about this, 5 moves ago, I was happy to go into this. Again, this pin is pawned, I'd have, pawn is pinned. I'd get my pieces out, his knight would be in a funky spot, blah, 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 blah. Of course, this didn't happen, so it doesn't really matter. But, and if he doesn't block like that, if he moves just over, I thought I could just simply take the pawn back. And I've reestablished my, my material disadvantage with maybe the idea of e6 at the right time, or getting my knight in. So this is what I saw, and okay, and again, the computer still laughs at me. They say this is a +1 position, Rob. This is not good for you. This is bad. But I didn't know that. I thought that this was fine. I thought his knight would have been in a bad square on the rim of the board. I would say that his own bishop would be biting on concrete, and I'd be forming the wall to nullify his Catalan bishop, and I'd finally get my pieces in. Again, I never thought I was better in these positions, but I thought I was I thought it was equal. Unfortunately, when he plays h3, I realize it's not equal. I can no longer extend this influence, and I'm obviously just worse. So I moved the only place I could to d7. Now I hope that he plays pawn takes, and I would just be down a pawn, but then I'd at least be able to trade off these pieces and get my knight into the game. But he doesn't do that. Ilya plays a bit better than that. Instead, he just plays the very quiet move e3, and white is much better here. And unfortunately, the reason why they're much better is he's up a pawn, but also he has a lot more space, number 2, and I'm not fully developed yet, and I'm going to have a lot of trouble developing this piece. And unfortunately, because with him building his own wall, now my queen is kind of in a bad, not really a very active square either. I have no way of pushing e5, so my rook e8 move, which was good when I played it, now doesn't even make sense. So, yeah, we arrived at this point. Ilya has only spent 20 minutes. I've spent 25, and I go for the move. And again, because I analyzed with Randy, I know this is not a good move. I think that this is actually one of the few really good moves I made after this point to make the game interesting. And I probably should have just buckled down, but I'm going to just show you the evaluation, because I know it's basically okay, it's not quite a +2 position, but it's bad. It's +1.8. I'm down the pawn, and again, the computer says it's more than just the material gap, it's also the positional stuff. They want me to play knight a6, and I was thinking about it because I knew I needed to get my piece involved. I thought that if I played knight out wide, then he can take, because when I take back, maybe that's fine, because I still want to trade those light square bishops off, I guess. I need to get my pieces in. I know taking is a nightmare. If I go CD and he just plays knight takes, he has tempo on my queen. He has a massive center. His pieces are in the middle of the board. I think I would just be crushed. He would even be able to take, to be completely fair, with the bishop as well. But I play c5. And my thinking, and this is what happens, and again, this is a poor calculation, but I thought after d takes c5, which again is what happens, I then had queen takes, and once again I'm hitting the knight twice. Now, it's not that hard to defend it. In fact, Randy pointed out that Ilya missed the best move in this position. I think he's supposed to just play knight e4, because then he opens up. He gets to trade my best piece, because he's doing it with tempo where he's hitting my queen. I didn't see that. Again, I was not playing that well. And he played the move that I thought he would play, which is getting the rook in, okay? And at this point, I'm playing pretty quickly. He's taking a bit of time. I play queen a5. Let me see something 1 second. I don't know how to pause. I want to do something in the other room. All right, well, whatever. It doesn't matter. I play queen a5, and my idea here is I thought that if I was able to trade, I can win back the material, my queen would be advanced, and maybe I'd be infiltrating. The problem is there's a lot of lines where then my queen gets trapped, if he actually lets me do that. And I don't think the a-pawn isn't even worth this piece, so yeah, all right. After this point, and we play a lot of moves, I'm going to just show you them real quickly. But he plays queen d2, which at first I thought was bad because he's pinning his own piece. Like, I have ideas if I can move my bishop to, like, hit his rook. If he takes, it exposes his queen. Computer, though, likes his move, so, what do I know? I play knight a5, knight a6, just trying to get my pieces involved. He plays rook fd1. I play rook a1. This apparently is a mistake. Apparently, I'm actually... No, it's just really bad. Knight c5, which is what I should have played, just to get my pieces involved. Rook a d8 is what I played. It's inaccurate. Plays knight a4. Unfortunately, this forces the trade of queens. I didn't think this was that bad for me. And what I calculated is takes, and now the reason I didn't think this was so bad is he's got doubled a-pawns. Like, he has up a pawn, but they're doubled a-pawns, and I thought that wouldn't necessarily be enough to win. You know what I mean? Like, I thought that was actually okay. In this position, I calculated for 3 minutes between bishop takes bishop, rook takes, but the problem is I don't really have a great spot for my knight. I figured I would be playing b6 anyway, or b6 first, thinking he'd go trade. I go b6 first, because now I thought that his rook, if I go takes and he goes takes, b6 is forced, and he's already kind of has his rook where he wants it. But unfortunately, when I play this, I miss the fact that he can actually play bishop a3, which ends up being the best move. It was a good one. Hopefully you guys can see what's happening. Right now my knight covers the square, but as soon as he plays bishop f1, which is another common move in Catalan, I've missed that in the past, but I'm very aware of it now. To deflect my knight, he can then come in with his rook, and when he comes in with his rook, he's going to be able to hit my e-pawn twice. So I realized that I needed to get my bishop over to protect the c7 square and perhaps settle it on d6 to further support my e7 pawn. So I thought I played the best move here. I played bishop e5. The idea as well is if he over chases me, I thought maybe he'd be softening his structure. They're giving me hope for maybe winning something back. He plays bishop f1, not surprising. And I do some quick calculations. The problem is if I play knight c7, he can now play f4. I no longer have the square on b8. I have to stick it on d6. He would then be able to trade. I would trade, and then my knight is no longer defended. He would then take it and win material. So I thought if I can't go here, then the only place I can go are on c5 or b8. I did another quick calculation, which is c5. By the way, this is what I should have gone into, because after takes, white is up 2 pawns here, but it's a bishops of opposite. I'm no longer pinned, and his win condition comes from the a file, where I can actually potentially get my bishop to b6, and I actually think I could draw this. So I should have gone into this line. Computer still says it's like plus 1.6 or so, but I practically speaking, this is clearly what I should have gone into. Instead, as mentioned, I play knight b8. The idea here, I'm still covering the squares. I'm not going to lose my knight for free. Yeah, unfortunately, this is just like things go bad to worse, because obviously he plays bishop b5, attacking my rook. I looked at this, I really only have one move, self-pinning myself knight d7. I am holding everything together, but it's basically by a thread. And now Ilya plays f4. The problem is I wanted to play bishop d6, but what I calculated is bishop d6, takes, and then he's able to move the rook down to the c-file. I have to move my other rook up to defend my pinned knight, and then he just takes my a-pawn for free. And now all of a sudden these double pawns are massive. And I'm still pinned. So I realize I can't play the bishop here. I have to play my bishop all the way back to once again defend the c7 square. But obviously I'm in a box, and he's got the space, and he's got the pawn, and he's got the bishop pair, and everything is just awful for me. He starts marching his king up. I thought now when he puts his king here, for the record, I play f6, but I actually calculated I actually spent a long time in this position. I spent, well, okay, not that long, 6 minutes. Because I was calculating knight here, and it looks like I give up the exchange, but I get it back with this move. And I thought here, and then once I take back, I'm defending. And I thought if we arrived at this position, I'd be in like okay shape. And no, it's still just lost. Oh, right. This is why, because it's not really defending the pawn, because he can go bishop takes, and if I go rook takes, he has check on c8. When I move, I lose my piece. I refuted this line because I thought that once I move my knight, he doesn't have to take right away. He can just move his king off of a forking square, or like let's say he moves up here. Even this is probably better to take away my jumps. And I thought I'd have to basically just move back, because I no longer have the fork, and as soon as I move the rook, he can just crash through with the bishops. So that's why I refuted that line. So that's why I opted. Again, I was just looking for like complications. Instead, I play f6. My idea is I want to get my king over to the f7 square, because then I can defend the e pawn. Once I defend the e pawn, then I can move my e rook. Once I move my e rook, my knight's not pinned. But you guys can tell this is just awful. All my pieces are totally tied up. I've completely done this to myself. He now plays e4. He's starting to march his pawns. I get my king over. At least it's now active, sort of. He plays king f3. He's trying to move it on up. And now finally I can move this rook. The problem with moving it to g8 is there are situations where I'm going to get skewered. But I thought that the only place for me to have any active play, this is such a bad bishop, is on the g-file. So I did move it here, knowing that in the future this would be an issue, but thinking that the only source of counterplay is to open up the g-file and then be able to attack g3. His rooks are not doubled appropriately, so if I am able to like either push and get him to move his g-pawn, then maybe I'll have some tactics of like a skewer in the future. That's at least what I was hoping for and going for. So I play rook g8. He plays bishop b4. I didn't understand this move. It's so he can push the pawn, but I thought this let me play a5 with tempo if I wanted to. But then I thought if I play a5, he can just move back, and now all of a sudden my b pawn is like almost impossible to defend, because at any point he can just take, and then when I take back, if he like reroutes the bishop, something like this, this is just an incredibly weak pawn. And again, if that pawn falls, these pawns just get thrust down my throat. So that's why I actually outruled a5. I probably should have played it anyway, to be honest, but I didn't. Instead, I go for the active counterplay. I do play g5 here. But real quick, just so I can show you guys, if I play here, I'm hoping he moves off of this diagonal so that I can actually get my bishop back in the game. But he's not going to do that. He's going to play bishop a3. And I thought the problem here is, at some point, once he moves back, let's say I play g5 now, if he goes trade, he can just simply reroute his bishop. Maybe, yeah, this is pretty bad, I think. Because basically if he gets over like this, if I defend, we're in a spot where I'm just losing again. Again, these pawns become very, very fast. So that's why I ruled out a5. What else am I talking about here? Oh, one of my small hopes is I realized I had the chance to go into the Bishops of Opposites endgame. It's probably still losing, but he kept not taking this knight, so I thought that he wasn't going to. But I probably should have actually in this position still gone into knight c5. Again, it's losing, but the idea if he goes takes, I have the dream setup where I have the a7 pawn that's blockading these. I can perhaps trade off these rooks, for example, something like this. Although maybe he goes something like this, I don't know. But the idea is if I can get a setup like this, because he can't come in here. Okay, they say like rook c1, something like this. I don't know. It's actually difficult with him controlling this file. I mean, he can't push because, you know, then I can take. So, yeah, it's actually hard for me to get over. But if I'm able to, just to show you guys, like here, if I'm able to get this position, I thought I was going to draw this position. No, the computer still says it's +2. Okay. But the reason why is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, that's horrible. But this is on a dark square. My king is closer to his passed pawn. And my A pawn with the sort of wedged in with the anchored bishop are completely blockading his double pawn. So I actually thought I thought I could draw this one. And I'm sure a computer would beat anyone in this position, but I actually thought I would draw this one. So I should have gone into that when I had the chance. I got a little too greedy because I thought I would play g5 first with the idea, obviously, if he takes, then I can move my knight with tempo, and I actually have good counterplay. Unfortunately, as soon as I play g5, where does he play? Oh, right, he plays a5 first. I decide to ignore this, thinking that takes, and he just takes with tempo, and he hits my rook, and then I'm going to lose the exchange. So I can't take now. But I take here. Obviously, he has to take back, otherwise I take this with check. It's defended. My bishop is finally opening up. G takes c4, so he takes. And this is too far flung, but I thought maybe if I can get my pawn over, I can actually kebab him. And I'd have active counterplay, because if he ever fucks up, maybe I can even win a piece, because his rooks are actually not connected, which is one of the small weaknesses in this position. So I go for that line. I play h5. It's too slow, though. It's too many moves. If it was one move like this to set up, like if his king was one further forward, then I think this move would actually be quite good. As is, it probably was not. And unfortunately, when I play h5, he finally plays d6, which has been good for a long time. Now it's very clear. I mean, not only is he threatening to just go takes and make a queen, but he's also threatening to now just play bishop c4, boom, win the rook. I play e6. It's the only move, but it's obviously totally lost for me. I play... he then now finally takes on d7, and I have no choice. And unfortunately, this is lost. My bishop is in jail. I no longer have the active... Although I have the file, he can always just contest it whenever he wants. And he's going to lock up the structure. And that's exactly what happens. This is a very, very simple win. I don't think it was like the most precise, but I also don't think it mattered very much. Because A takes, I have to take back. He now plays e5. He slams down the middle of the board. I probably could have resigned here. I'll just show you how the game ends. Because it ends pretty soon. I play h4, hoping to come on in. But now he plays rook g2 when he has to. I have nothing better to do than trade. He takes back. I want to like get around. I probably should have, but instead I trade first. He trades. I try to go over here, and he plays rook f1, which is good. Because now he's starting to go check and win the pawn. I can't come in. That can't go up. I thought my only line was to trade rooks here. He does after we do this. Unfortunately, I can't get my king over. I thought I'd be able to wedge it here and then basically maybe get my bishops of the same to defend. And again, maybe just hold everything by like kind of moving it up and down. But alas, this too is losing. I mean, I just never really had a chance here. As you guys can tell, because after king takes f7, move 40, he plays king f3. He's just going to get around, win this pawn, which is good. I need like a couple moves. I need to get over, so I don't need to defend the d8 square with my bishop. I need to move this up so I can get it over. If you give me 2 moves, I can draw, but they're not even going to give me 1 additional move. I have to just play 1. So I play b5. He now plays king g4. He's going to win this pawn. There's nothing I can do about it. I thought maybe I could get into like a neat stalemate, but you know, like let's try to play a few more moves because we're already here. Why not? I play bishop a7. The idea is I can always stop the queen here, but I needed to maybe even get around, try to have some counterplay. I thought like a fake threat he might delay. He plays d7. It's worth pointing out that the pawn is preventing my king from opening him on e8, and his bishop is blocking me off here. Play the only move here, bishop b6. This is stopping him from queening. But alas, this means he can just take the pawn. And he does. I don't really have a real threat of winning this pawn. If I can win this pawn, what's funny is then we have a race, and I actually, again, can draw, but I can't win that pawn. It's just over. Yeah, I mean, I play king g6, hoping that if he lets me get over and take this pawn, again, I actually can draw because I'm still defending. He could have actually just played bishop e7, I think. I think bishop e7 is just completely winning. But again, everything is winning. He instead plays bishop d2, which I think is less accurate, but again, it doesn't really matter. If I move over, he moves here. So I said, how did this game end? I only wrote down 48 moves. Did I move up? We'll say I moved up. Again, my writing at this point became pretty poor. But anyway, that's the game. I resigned shortly thereafter. No, not shortly thereafter. Again, I played a few more moves out, but I thought maybe I can get into a stalemate, but there's no such stalemate. I end up sacrificing my bishop for a pawn, as you guys can imagine. Boom, 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 and yeah, he wins. Because he's got a bishop and I'm too slow and I can't get over to blockade. So yeah, that's it. He didn't have time to go over the game. He just kind of bounced, which was kind of disappointing. Because it would have been nice, when you play up to to learn something. But unfortunately, whoops. Fortunately, that was not to be. Collection name: Boylston, Chess Club, May, Swiss. Okay. Let me add that there. We'll just do the game review for all you people, and then I'm gonna call this complete. I think I did this on the train. I played like an 85%, which is not bad, but yeah, 80. Yeah. As you guys can tell, so I played an 87%. He played 93%, but I never really had a chance. I didn't play great. I'm gonna leave this up for a moment while I go to the kitchen and just kind of drop my coffee mug. I know that they've been taking a little while to like load, just so you guys can see. I'm gonna grab some from the other room. Hopefully that loads. The computer works. I hope that's been up long enough for it to load. That's my total thoughts. Ilya. I mean, Ilya played well. He's 1950. He played almost 93% accuracy. He didn't do anything particularly special, but he played very solidly. I don't think he was always super precise, but he really didn't make any mistakes. I made one very bad move in the opening, that idea with the knight out wide, and after that he kind of punished me. I tried to complicate it, and those complications led to a tougher game for me. I could have maybe traded into the bishop of opposites to give myself a little more draw opportunities, but I didn't. And we played out a bit more when I was just totally lost until there really was no hope. On the tee, when I, or with Randy or whatever, it said 85. Maybe I'd added a few moves differently. But the point is, I think I've said anytime I play higher than an 85, I'm comfortable and happy with the game. This one, I don't know. It just felt like he didn't do anything special, but he just played better than me. He just was very solid and good. And and so I was I didn't really learn anything from it. I just it was just kind of a sad game, a wah 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 kind of noise. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it.